Welcome to Session 3, Tools, Rapid Mapping, and Case Study. In this session, you'll learn how to use the same climate mapping tools that practitioners rely on around the world. We'll walk through 5 platforms: UNEP Strata, CMRA, AMIA, ArcGIS Online, and Google Earth Pro. You'll learn what each tool does, how to read its outputs, and how to use them to create rapid exposure maps for real-world decisions. We'll apply these tools to an Australian bushfire case study and work through a hands-on scenario exercise. By the end of this session, you'll have practical skills you can use immediately in climate risk assessments. Let's get started. Session 3 focuses on application. By the end of this session, you will select mapping tools based on decision need, not preference. You will interpret outputs from Strata, CMRA, AMIA, ArcGIS, and Google Earth Pro. You will conduct rapid exposure mapping under real-world time constraints. You will translate mapping outputs into adaptation and capital recommendations. And you will identify governance gaps exposed by compound extremes. Tools support decisions. They do not replace them. Climate mapping tools range from specialized platforms to general-purpose GIS software. Each one plays a different role in your risk assessment workflow. UNEP Strata is built for climate vulnerability assessments. It helps you evaluate exposure, sensitivity, and adaptive capacity across regions. Use Strata when you need a full, comprehensive vulnerability analysis. CMRA, Climate Mapping for Resilience and Adaptation, is focused on adaptation planning. It highlights resilience gaps and helps you prioritize where interventions are needed most. Use CMRA when you're designing adaptation strategies. AMIA, the Adaptation and Mitigation Interaction Assessment Tool, shows how adaptation actions interact with mitigation goals. Some strategies support both. Others involve trade-offs. AMIA helps you see the synergies and avoid conflicts. ArcGIS Online is a professional GIS platform you can access through your browser. It offers powerful mapping, spatial analysis, and customization. Use ArcGIS when you need advanced analysis or when you're building complex maps. Google Earth Pro provides simple, intuitive geospatial visualization. It's free, easy to learn, and offers global satellite imagery. Use Google Earth Pro for rapid visual assessments or when you need clear visuals for stakeholder communication. UNEP Strata is the United Nations Environment Programme's platform for standardized climate vulnerability assessment. It applies the IPCC vulnerability framework in a clear, consistent way. Strata looks at 3 components. First is exposure, which areas face climate hazards. The platform uses global datasets on heat, rainfall change, sea level rise, storms, and other hazards. Second is sensitivity, how easily people, ecosystems, and systems are affected. This includes demographics, land use, and ecosystem conditions. Third is adaptive capacity, the ability to cope or adjust. Strata uses indicators related to governance, economic resources, and social support systems. Strata combines these into vulnerability scores. High exposure, high sensitivity, and low adaptive capacity result in high vulnerability. The platform calculates these scores from the national level down to sub-national regions. One of Strata's biggest strengths is standardization. Because it uses consistent methods, results from different regions can be compared. You can benchmark your region, track changes over time, or align with international reporting requirements. Strata outputs include color-coded hotspot maps, score breakdowns, and rankings that show which areas need action first. You use Strata when you need a rigorous, internationally aligned vulnerability assessment. It's especially useful for national adaptation planning, donor reporting, and cross-country comparisons. Its main limitation is data resolution. Strata relies on global datasets, which may not capture neighborhood-level detail. This strata map shows how heat wave, drought, and population exposure layers combine to reveal widespread climate vulnerability across Australia. Climate Mapping for Resilience and Adaptation, CMRA, helps turn climate risk data into clear adaptation priorities. Once you know where vulnerabilities are, CMRA helps you design and prioritize adaptation actions. Its core function is resilience gap analysis. You enter current conditions, existing infrastructure, institutional capacity, and community resources, along with future climate scenarios. CMRA shows the gap between what you have today and what you'll need in the future. Those gaps become your top adaptation priorities. The platform includes an adaptation options library with hundreds of proven interventions. For coastal flooding, CMRA may suggest seawalls, mangrove restoration, stronger building codes, or managed retreat. For extreme heat, it highlights tree canopy expansion, cool surfaces, early warning systems, and cooling centers. One of CMRA's biggest strengths is built-in cost-benefit analysis. For each option, it estimates costs, maintenance needs, expected benefits, and overall cost-effectiveness. This makes it easy to compare interventions and choose the best mix. The output is a prioritized adaptation portfolio. CMRA ranks actions by effectiveness, urgency, and feasibility. It highlights quick wins that are low cost and high impact and identifies larger, long-term investments that require sustained funding. It also helps sequence interventions over time within your available budget. You use CMRA when you're ready to move from assessment to action. It's ideal for municipal adaptation planning, infrastructure investment decisions, and donor-funded programs. The main limitation is data quality. CMRA works best when reliable cost and benefit data are available, which may not be the case for every context. These graphics show how CMRA visualizes local climate hazards, such as extreme precipitation and prolonged dry days, so users can quickly assess future risk and identify priority areas for adaptation planning. The Adaptation and Mitigation Interaction Assessment Tool, AMIA, evaluates how climate adaptation and mitigation measures interact. It classifies interventions into three categories. Positive synergies reduce climate risk and lower emissions. Examples include urban forests, green buildings, and renewable energy with storage. Trade-offs occur when adaptation increases emissions. Air conditioning, desalination, and concrete seawalls provide protection but raise energy use or embodied carbon. Neutral actions deliver adaptation benefits without affecting emissions. Examples include evacuation planning, heat alerts, and flood insurance. AMIA scores interventions on adaptation value and mitigation impact. This enables integrated strategies like solar-powered cooling centers. It supports municipal climate plans, corporate sustainability strategies, and climate finance proposals. It identifies synergies and flags interventions requiring mitigation offsets. This graphic shows how climate change, emissions, socioeconomic pathways, and adaptation measures interact. It highlights where actions reinforce or conflict with each other. ArcGIS Online delivers full GIS capability directly through the browser, no installation needed. Its key strength is custom mapping. Users can layer climate hazards, infrastructure, demographics, and land use, and style each layer for clear communication. Built-in spatial tools, like buffers and overlays, help quantify exposure, such as buildings near flood zones or neighborhoods facing combined heat and social vulnerability. The platform accepts spreadsheets, shape files, real-time feeds, and data from Esri's Living Atlas, making it easy to build complete maps in one place. Outputs are polished and shareable, whether exported as images/PDFs or published as interactive web maps. ArcGIS Online is ideal for advanced analysis, planning, and stakeholder engagement. Its main limitation is licensing cost, though education and nonprofit discounts are available. This map combines future flood risk with demographic data for New York City, illustrating how hazard exposure aligns with population distribution and social vulnerability. Google Earth Pro is a simple, accessible tool for geospatial visualization. It's completely free, works on almost any computer, and requires very little training. Its main strength is high-resolution satellite imagery. In most urban areas, you can see individual buildings, trees, roads, and land use patterns clearly. Many locations also have imagery from multiple years going back 15 to 20 years, which makes time series analysis easy. This historical imagery is especially useful for climate assessment. You can see where cities expanded over former vegetation. You can visualize coastal erosion or flooding impacts over time. You can track deforestation in fire-prone areas. You can see new development in flood zones. Simply using the time slider brings these changes into view. Google Earth Pro also includes simple but helpful tools. You can measure distances, areas, and elevations, draw boundaries, drop pins, and add notes. You can import data from Excel or KML files, and even overlay your own maps and images. The output is visual rather than analytical, which is exactly what makes it powerful for communication. When explaining climate risk to decision makers or community members, nothing beats showing real satellite imagery of their neighborhoods. When documenting site conditions for reports or proposals, annotated images and measurements provide strong, concrete evidence. You use Google Earth Pro for rapid assessments, field planning, stakeholder engagement, and report visuals. Its limitation is analysis. Google Earth Pro can't run statistics, models, or spatial operations. For that, you move to ArcGIS Online or other GIS tools. This image shows dense Sierra Nevada forests giving way to arid desert basins with steep slopes and sparse valley vegetation shaping where communities and infrastructure can operate safely. Rapid exposure mapping gives you quick, actionable intelligence when decisions can't wait for a full assessment. Here's the workflow. Step 1 is defining the scope. You answer 3 simple questions. Which hazard are we mapping? Flood, heat, wildfire, or multiple hazards? What area are we looking at? A neighborhood, a city, or a region? And what assets matter most? Infrastructure, vulnerable populations, businesses, or ecosystems? A clear scope keeps the work focused. Step 2 is gathering readily available data. You use existing hazard maps, flood zones, heat island data, wildfire risk layers. You do not build new hazard models. For assets, you pull from open sources like OpenStreetMap for infrastructure, census data for populations, and internal records for critical facilities. The goal is to use the data you have now, not wait for perfect data later. Step 3 is overlay and analysis using the tools we covered. In Google Earth Pro, you visually spot which assets sit in hazard zones. In ArcGIS Online, you run buffer and intersection tools to calculate exposure precisely. In CMRA or Strata, you load your data and let the platform generate exposure results. The question is straightforward. What is located in the hazard area? Step 4 is creating a clear decision map. You color code exposure levels, add labels for key vulnerabilities, and include simple summary statistics. The map should answer 2 things. Where should we act first? And what's at risk? Rapid exposure mapping takes hours or days, never weeks. You trade a bit of precision for speed, but you deliver the insights decision makers need when they need them. You use this method in emergency planning, early stage project assessments, or anytime stakeholders need quick answers. This map shows large portions of Southeast Virginia's shoreline and inland waterways with an elevated flood risk affecting housing, transportation, and utilities. Choosing the right tool is one of the most common challenges professionals face when working with climate risk data. Each platform has strengths, limitations, and ideal use cases. This guide gives practitioners a fast way to match the task to the right tool without needing to dive into technical documentation. The goal is simple. Start with the decision you need to make, then select the tool built for that decision. Google Earth Pro is the quickest option when you need visual confirmation, such as checking if a facility is built near eroding coastline or reviewing land use changes over time. It's fast, free, and ideal for early scoping or stakeholder communication. ArcGIS Online is the best choice when you need deeper analysis. If your task involves buffers, overlays, exposure statistics, or building multi-layer maps for planning, ArcGIS provides the analytical power required. CMRA is the go-to tool once you shift from understanding risk to planning adaptation. It helps quantify resilience gaps, compare interventions, and rank adaptation options under different climate scenarios. UNEP Strata is ideal when you need a standardized vulnerability baseline. It combines hazard, exposure, and socioeconomic indicators into ready-to-use vulnerability scores, which are especially helpful for regional and national planning. AMIA comes into play when you need to consider how adaptation and mitigation interact. It reveals synergies, identifies trade-offs, and helps ensure adaptation actions don't unintentionally increase emissions. Together, these tools cover the full workflow, from rapid diagnostics to deep analysis, integrated planning, and investment-ready recommendations. Session 3 closes the loop. Tool selection must follow the decision you are trying to support. Rapid mapping values, clarity over technical perfection. Compound extremes often expose governance weakness before infrastructure failure. Vulnerability data must influence infrastructure standards and regulatory updates. And mapping only creates value when it drives capital allocation and policy change. Insight without implementation does not create resilience.